Krummi svalig klätta gjá, aldri vedrar nått du á, verður margt að meini, fyrr en dagur fagur.
The truth in the fantasy of Beowulf. Beowulf is a tale of fantasy and wonder. The epic hero Beowulf slays 3 beasts of legend, one of which is a fire-breathing dragon, and none of which could possibly have been real. However, in both its content and poetic structure, Beowulf depicts a Scandinavian society relatively close to what the real Danish peoples of the time might have had. Starting with battling, most Danes were farmers, and there was no organized military. Beowulf honors that, as soldiers only exist in small bands that operate under the leadership of Hrothgar or Beowulf, 2 major characters in the story and respected men of their realms. In fact, Hrothgar is often referred to as King Hrothgar, or the Wise King, directly throughout the text, so it makes sense that he has a personal band of men under his command. The fighting style displayed in Beowulf also fits with what is known about ancient Scandinavian battling. Before the fight with Grendel, one of the antagonists, it is said that Beowulf handed his attendant the patterned sword, indicating that his choice weapon was simply a sword. It has been discovered from Viking graves that among all the weapons found, including spears and axes, a long battle knife and the longsword are by far the most common. Finally, contrary to popular belief, Vikings followed rules of conduct, which were very similar to the code of chivalry in medieval Europe. The rules emphasized generosity, honor, loyalty, hospitality, common sense, all of which are major themes in Beowulf. Tradition-wise, Beowulf also stays true to history. Feasting was a huge part of Scandinavian society, as it was mainly a time for bonding so a lord or king could get to know his warriors. It was also a time for exchanging gifts, forming alliances, celebrating victories, strengthening relationships, and for great speeches, such as the one Beowulf and Hrothgar gave before and after Grendel's defeat in the main hall, Heorot. Gift-giving was another great tradition of the Viking people that is shown in Beowulf. Warriors were not mercenaries. They were men of honor, men who needed to be won and kept by constant affirmations of loyalty by their thanes or kings, usually in the form of a continuous gift exchange promoting the formation of personal friendships. These gifts could include land, armor, or a treasured sword, or even a wife given by the thanes to their retainers or soldiers. At the end of the epic, Beowulf is cremated in a funeral pyre, as was the typical method of Viking burial. Beowulf also shares parallels with Norse mythology, mainly in the symbolism of the body. In analyses of both the poem and Norse myths, the body represents more than just strength. Particularly the hand and mouth, both of which are necessary to eat and live, are important symbols. In Beowulf specifically, this can be seen in the emphasis on Grendel's glove or arm as the main trophy Beowulf takes out of the battle, as well as the fact that Beowulf fights him without weapons and with just his own strength. The structure of the poem itself matches that of Scandinavian stories as well. Even in its English form, the very structure of the lines follows the norm of Viking poetry. Also, in terms of overall story and theme, there were 2 major forms of Scandinavian poetry, skaldic and Eddaic. Skaldic poetry focused on praising kings and great men, while Eddaic poetry only discussed the feats of gods and ancient Germanic heroes. Beowulf definitely fits in the classification of skaldic poetry, as Beowulf is both a great man and a king. Furthermore, the poem contains alliteration, rhyme, and kenningers, also known as kennings, which are found in most Scandinavian poetry. Beowulf is a fictional poem set in ancient Scandinavia and details the escapades of Beowulf, the hero. The work has several parts, and though it never directly states the details of the world, certain aspects such as fighting style, the traditions, and the poetic structure paint a world that is known to be mostly true from history. Aside from Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon, the society depicted in the poem accurately reflects Scandinavian society of the time.